people that I recognize in that group. I say hi, Ron, and I see Liz Peters and a few others. Anyway, welcome. What I'd like to do is I'd like to start with everyone kind of telling me, what's going on, what school you're from, what's going on with your board, and why you're sitting here in the strategic planning group. Do you have strategic planning coming up this year, or is your accreditation coming up, or whatever the case may be? So let's start out with those who are sitting in the room, if you don't mind, and you can just let me know kind of where you stand as it relates to what school you're from and where you are around strategic planning. Somebody want to start?
Yeah, I can start. Can they hear me okay? Should be. Okay. So I'm Brenda Lenneman. I'm from Portland, St. Patrick, and I am the policy and strategic planning chair with our school board. I just started in May, so I'm fairly new to this role, but the person who was doing this before me has done a fantastic job getting us to a really, really solid point. We have kind of our playbook laid out just like that. And so we're just trying to keep that updated and keep things flowing and moving. Some of the more recent things we've been working on quite a bit is our EOP, so emergency ops planning document, and making sure that's all up to date. And we did some policy changes over the summer just for our handbook and everything. But other than that, I think that's kind of where we're at.
Mm-hmm. So you are kind of beginning to refresh your strategic plan?
Yep. So we're in year 2 of ours.
Okay. So you have a ways to go.
Yeah,
so you're updating on a yearly basis.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But you have several years before your site visit again and your accreditation.
Yeah.
One of the things I find is that some board members don't realize that the strategic planning process and output of a strategic plan, whichever kind of model you choose to use, is kind of tied into the 5-year accreditation cycle. And so that's kind of a helpful thing, I think, to remember. Okay, great. Thank you.
My name is John Fry, and I'm on the Board of Governors with the West Catholic High School.
Okay.
And I've been there for 3 years. I'm on their Catholic Culture Subcommittee. And I've been tapped to become their next secretary, although I haven't been formally voted in quite yet. I was at a board meeting where Jill Annabelle, obviously we're in a transition, and she presented a strategic planning timeline.
Mm-hmm.
And I emailed her and said, I do have some experience with strategic planning with the American Dental Association. And so that was a while ago, but I did okay at it, and I led that subcommittee for a couple of years. So I have a little bit of experience, although not quite in this subject.
Great.
So,
Great. And yes, I've been working a little bit with Jill as well.
yeah.
And so I don't know exactly how involved I will be, but I told her I'd help in any way that I could through the process. So she's just in the midst of a lot of listening right now.
She came to one meeting and laid out the strategic planning timeline for the next 12 months, each month what she wants to do. And I was like, wow, that's ambitious.
Yeah, very.
So I threw my hat in to help her.
Oh, wonderful.
And so
wonderful.
She's okay with that.
Yeah, good. And Father, tell us, you're from St. Jude's. Why are you choosing to join us?
Just transferred there.
Yes.
So strategic planning is my passion
Oh,
for it. So I am just here to observe.
okay.
So I might be able to help them, or if they will ask me.
Okay.
And we are working on strategic planning for the parish.
Oh, for the parish. Okay.
But I have elementary school too, so.
Yes.
So I'm just interested, and I just want to join.
Oh, we're happy to have you here, Father. Great. Now can we turn to the folks who are virtual? The first person I see big on the screen is Suzanne.
Suzanne Fuchs.
I wanted to say it right.
It's a tricky one.
Suzanne, welcome. Where are you from?
From St. Robert.
Okay.
And I've been attending the school board meetings as a representative the past year, but I've just formally joined the board last month. So, and we will be beginning our we had our accreditation last year, so we are beginning our strategic planning process now.
Okay, wonderful, great. And I can't really see all the people and their names. So who else would like to pipe up and tell us who they are?
I'll jump in. I follow Suzanne from St. Robert. Yeah, same thing. We've done accreditation, finished it last year, and are ready to start strategic planning.
Okay, all right. Okay, great, Liz, thank you.
Hi, Sue. I'll go next. Ron McKean. I'm with St. Mary's Church out in Big Rapids. I've been on the school board long enough to time out from it, but I'm staying. And I'm staying on the Policy and Planning Committee as we start our renewal process for our strategic plan. So looking forward to that.
Great, thanks for joining. I think, how many of these sessions have you sat through, Ron, with me? Many.
I've got it memorized.
Yeah, really. I'm embarrassed. You just keep hearing the same thing over and over.
You're so good. I keep coming back.
Oh, right. Thanks, Ron. Okay, who's next? Do I see an Aaron?
Hi, everyone. Aaron Schmidt. I'm probably the newest school board member in the group. I joined St. Robert's School Board last month. So
Okay.
Purely in observation mode at this point.
Okay, great. Welcome. Thank you.
Thank you.
And others?
I'm Jenna Heiner here. I'm from St. Mary's in Spring Lake.
Okay.
We finished our strategic plan, I think last year, and we're in the process of carrying it out. So keeping up with all of the quarterly evals is sometimes a challenge during our meetings, but we did just learn about maybe a week or two that our principal will be leaving us in a few weeks. But I think having a strategic plan in place has really helped us feel like it's okay. I mean, it's not ideal, obviously, but there's a plan in place and we have a game plan going forward.
Great. Thank you. And I will try to take some time to address how you can go through using the plan as a screen for your decision-making for your board and your staff, or how others may have done it as well, if you'd be interested in that. Dave Faber did share your plan with me, and so I do have a copy of it.
Great.
Which is always helpful for me to kind of see where schools are. Is there anyone else, others?
Yeah, I am Ashley Kamen, and I'm from Our Lady of Consolation in Rockford. I'm also very new to the board. I think I've got 2 months now, so I'm in the development team with Jenny that just joined, actually. So we are getting ready to go through accreditation, finishing up. So.
Okay. And did you say, is it Jenny?
Yeah, Jenny just joined, I saw, and she's from
Jenny.
LLC as well.
Okay. All right. Any others?
Yeah, this is Mike Sarah. I'm on the development committee at West Catholic and looking forward to a refresh of our strategic plan with the new principal.
Okay. Yeah, I did want to make sure it was clear that because we didn't have a specific development breakout, Dave asked that we combine development with strategic planning. So I just want to make sure that you understand that we really won't be talking about development other than how development ties into, there certainly have to be development goals in a strategic plan. So hopefully you're okay with that. All right. Well, thank you. That's really helpful to me. So we have St. Robert's represented in a healthy way, 2 St. Mary's, St. Jude, a couple of West Catholic, and Divine Providence. That's great. Quite a variety of schools. Elena, can you move forward on the little PowerPoint? Let me just say that some of you I know, most of you I do not know. In my professional life, I did a great deal of strategic planning, and the methodology that we use here is a methodology that one of my business partners created many, many years ago. And I have used it in every possible work situation that you could imagine, for major corporations, for departments, for new product introductions, for little nonprofits, and everything in between. And I started doing it in the nonprofit environment when our pastor at St. Thomas the Apostle, which is where I go to church, he happened to see it, and Father Jim Chelich, and he absolutely loved the methodology. And so I ended up doing it for maybe 3 or 4 every 5-year cycles for St. Thomas. And then the school picked it up, and Dave Faber happened to be the principal at our school at that time. So he became very familiar with it. So kind of one thing led to another. But the magic, I think, of the map, and some people look at it and say, oh my gosh, you have no idea how to read it. And it is crazy, especially when I can't get Dave to cut down on words. But I now have a deal with him that if he adds a word, he has to take one away. But the ability to have the most important information on one sheet of paper, there's not a lot of room for a lot of extra stuff that doesn't matter, but the most important information needs to be on that sheet of paper. And if you have a good group that works through strategic planning and through the process, because you have to have people who have skin in the game and who care about it, especially the people who are going to end up doing work to carry it out, that is the process, the right people, the right process, and then the output. And then using that output as a screen throughout your year to determine what tactics you're going to work on. That's the way that this map kind of stays alive. So that's why we use it, and that's the methodology that I make available to support your efforts if you're interested in. Your schools do not need to use this methodology, and there are some schools that don't, and that would prefer to have it written in prose and, you know, a different format that maybe is more traditional. And that is perfectly fine to do that. But this is what we're offering. So what I'd like to tell all of you is that, can we go to the next slides here? Well, we went through that. We'll keep going. You've seen Dave has been holding up the map from the diocese, and it's really helpful when the diocese is planning this way, for schools to plan the same way is a really helpful alignment of language and process and how you think about it. And you don't make too many, there aren't too many gaps or missteps when you're all planning with the same methodology. So that's a really helpful thing. We can go to the next one. Also, let me just talk for a minute on the diocesan website. There's a number of ways to get to it, but one of the ways is if you go to the Diocese of Grand Rapids and you click on schools and then you click on resources, you will eventually find a whole list of tools and resources available for all the different committees that serve all of you, those of us on the diocesan school board. And under strategic planning, all the tools that we're going to talk about here today are there. And I just discovered that there is a password. Ron McKeon told me about it. I had no idea there was a password because that must be somewhat new. But anyway, I'm going to announce the password is BOARD, B-O-A-R-D, lowercase. So if you go there and you're looking to get into some of these tools that we're going to talk about, just kind of remember BOARD, which is really easy. And I'm sure there was some kind of a security reason for why they put that on there, but it took me by surprise. Anyway, so one of the things that's on the website is this document right here, which is a synthesis of the National Catholic School Standards. And this is an extremely helpful list of standards that Catholic schools are intended to live by. And again, as you're working your way through the strategic planning process, it's a great resource. Want to go on? So this is the 5-year process, if you can see it. I know it might be a little small if you're looking at it on a small laptop, but the process begins with you have a self-study and then a site visit for your accreditation. You receive your accreditation report And then the following year, you are intended, year one, to create your strategic plan. And it's really important that you take your accreditation report, and everything that you may have gotten a 1 or 2 score on must be on that strategic plan, as you have to have some strategies to bring those scores up to a 3 or a 4. So that's a great place to start, is with your accreditation report. And then each year after that, you are intended to write a report and to update how you're doing. And then you get around to the 5th year again, you have another accreditation visit, and you start the cycle all over again. But the 2nd or 3rd or 4th or 100th time you do a strategic plan, it's a whole lot easier than it is the first time if you haven't had one. So this is available to you also in a document that we're going to talk about in a minute. So the plan that you saw from the diocese is created in a design program called Illustrator. And when I was working full-time, I had a lot of designers available to me, and they would do this work for me. And no longer am I working. And so I had to figure out how to create this map in something that everybody could use. So my young daughter helped me create it in Google Draw. So that is a template that is available to you. And if you want my assistance, I can also help you with this. But just so you know that the template is available for you to use if you're working through that process. Okay, this is where we really want to spend our time. And everybody here locally have a copy of this strategic planning guide. This is a 20-page document that the Strategic Planning Committee, which is myself and 2 other women who happen to be professional business colleagues of mine and know this process well. This is just the entire guide. This is the Bible for planning with this methodology, the strategic intent map methodology. It includes everything that you could possibly want. It includes how to create the team to work with, how to facilitate through the process. It includes agendas for meetings. If you are going to hold some meetings together, input from your school parents and parishioners. It includes a survey, if you want to use a survey that is really designed around a SWOT analysis, what's working well and what's not working so well. And really, it also includes example content for every single area of the strategic intent map. And so this really, if you don't have it, those of you who are virtual, I would highly recommend that you download it and print it out. And it's not what you'd call reading that you want to do in bed at night, but it is, I think, a really, really, really helpful document for you. And the tools that are available online also include PowerPoint presentations, just everything that you could possibly need for the process. And one of the things that, I would just say to you is, if you are doing this for the first time and you intend to use this methodology, I would be happy to work with you through the process as best that time allows for me and for you, and for how much support that you might feel that you need. And so, I'd love to hear what some of your plans are. So I know Divine Providence has gone through the process, has a map, kind of knows how to do it. Do you feel confident that you're gonna kind of do this all on your own? Or, what are you thinking? Not to put you on the spot, but
Oh, me?
yeah.
So I'm St. Pat's.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
I was thinking, I'm sorry. The lady who was sitting here was from Divine Providence.
No, yeah, I think, again, being fairly new to it, I'm still trying to digest it all because there is so much information on it. But I think what we're really trying to work on right now is using it as our central hub for all of our other subcommittees and making sure that everything that they're doing is tracking back to our master plan.
Okay.
And so that because especially, like some of the other committees, it's so easy to kind of get sidetracked and like go off. There's great ideas and everything, but just making sure that we continue to revisit our strategic plan, and we do that semi-annually
Oh, okay.
at our board meetings. So we do it December and May of every year. So our next board meeting will be having each subcommittee tie the work back to what's on our master. So that's been
Okay.
really helpful from a centralization perspective, and to make sure that we're all tracking in the same direction.
So when you review it twice a year, do you have a list of tactics that are supporting all your strategies that then the different committees know that they own, which committee owns which tactics, and how you'll, you know, how you get that done? You keep track of what's done and what needs to be continued to be worked on, and what's complete, what's incomplete.
Yeah, so we have an Excel spreadsheet that we have all of our tactics, and with like, everything is broken down. So we have like the priorities, and then we break that down the segments. So the tactics are things, you know, some things that were a tactic in May are now complete. So we
Okay.
have that noted.
Okay.
And then we also track as to which subcommittee it pertains to. So if you wanted to filter the tactics by the marketing subcommittee, you could do that so that they're aware that, you know, hey, our name is tied to this. So are we looking at this, and that sort of thing. So the tricky part with that, I will say, is we were trying to keep up with it every meeting we had, which was, you know, like every month or two. And so like, just how do we be consistent with the updates and make sure that they're relevant without having so much information overload? So I think that's what we're trying to fine tune right now.
Do you find that twice a year is enough?
This will be my first time going through it, because I had just started after they just previously did. So in December will be my first time going through it. But I think it'll actually be really helpful for me too, because I hear about the updates from the other committees, but it'll be a chance to really tie them back to what we have on our strategic plan.
Okay. One of the things, and also I think Jenny, who from OLC, I think is the one who said this, that if you're reviewing your tactics that you've written, many times I'll just suggest that you create, you know, you have an Excel spreadsheet, that's perfect, but some just are using a Word or a table or something that just their tactics are listed there for each one of the strategies, and they have who's the owner, and is it complete or incomplete? Does it have a budget? You know, how long do you expect it to take? This strategy, we're not even going to start till year 2. This strategy, we're going to get done this very first year. Just basic information about it, so that, as was said, their principal just left Spring Lake, I guess it was St. Mary Spring Lake. You know, you have a record, you know where you are if you're making a transition like that, where you don't feel like, oh my gosh, now what are we going to do? You can continue to move forward, and to use that as a means of, whether it's every 6 months or whether it's every month, or, you know, every quarter, use that as the screen by which you see how you're doing. As opposed to, you don't use the whole map with the strategies and the background and all that. That's just sort of to get you to, okay, what do we have to do this year? So sounds like you're, you know, in good shape. I'd love to, you know, hear how things continue to go. Okay.
I think we're doing pretty well. Like I said, I was set up really nicely. I know they came
good.
And, you know, found the summit helpful, and that's where all of this started, and that's, you know, documented everything now too. So.
Okay, thank you. John, being from West Catholic and having, you know, obviously your experience in strategic planning is very different from this output. I don't know if Jill is planning, she's familiar with this, but I don't know if she's planning to use this kind of output or not.
I don't know either. And she and I have not connected yet since we talked that first time.
Okay.
She's in LA always.
Okay. Yeah, she's a busy lady already.
Yeah, but she said she was going to meet with you.
Yeah, okay.
So get it started.
Okay.
I feel like, well, first of all, strategic planning is never complete.
Right.
As soon as it's complete.
Right, it's not.
complete.
Right.
It's like driving a new car off the lot.
Right.
It's a funny thing. So it's
Exactly.
this active sort of
Right.
thing. So I'm not replacing yet anything. I mean, I'm surrounded by extremely smart people, as you all are. And so I want to add to it and keep it vibrant, and keep it valid,
Yes.
relevant.
Yeah. So what ends up happening is, at least I typically recommend, if you get the front of the map done, and that gets you to strategy. So you've got your metrics, which are really your quantifiable objectives, and then your strategies for how you're going to accomplish them. And then if on an annual basis, the board and the staff write tactics annually. What are we going to get done this year? What are we going to try to get, that is a way to keep it alive, because typically the strategies stay the same and the objectives stay the same, but it's the tactics that you get done and you change. And if in the midst of it something big happens, then you have a means of going back in and saying, wait a minute, we've got to update this. So, having an understanding, and usually by the time you get to year 4, either enough has changed in the world or at your world, in your school, that you're ready to start thinking about going to a new place again.
Right.
And so it does make sense to, keep it evolving. Yeah. Okay. I wanted to see if Liz and I'm thinking, who are the other people from St. Robert's? Aaron
And Suzanne.
and Suzanne. Yes. So is this your first time around?
It is.
Yes.
And tell me, what are you thinking about how you'd like to go about it?
Well, because we're small, I shouldn't say small, new, because we're new, kind of wondering how it will look. I look at the map, I'm familiar with the map that Dave has, familiar with the map from St. Thomas.
Right.
And I don't know, is that, it almost feels really too big.
Yes,
for us.
sure.
But yeah, so we've started by putting our school board into groups according to the National Catholic Standards, and we're going to be looking at our accreditation report and kind of digging in each of those areas to look for those 1s and 2s and obviously ways that we can improve.
Okay. Well, Liz, I can certainly see why you think that these robust plans might be a little bit too big, but I'd be happy to share with you some other school plans that you could get ideas to see kind of what it means to be kind of starting out. They don't need to look like these plans that don't have any breathing space on them whatsoever.
A little daunting.
Right, a little daunting. I totally get that. And if you'd like, I'd be happy to come out and meet with you and just, kind of see where you are and see if we could get you set on a path.
That'd be great, Sue. Thank you.
If you'd like to do that.
Yeah, we'll get, Suzanne for sure to join in with us. And if Aaron wants to, that would be great. We can kind of pull together and, but our December meeting will be the first one when we really start digging in. So maybe after the first of the year, we can get together.
Okay. All right. Yep. I'm going to put it on your shoulders to get a hold of me. Okay.
Absolutely. I will take that on. Thank you so much.
Okay. And I would suggest that you get a hold of me sooner than later. Because
Okay.
you have to work around my retirement plans.
That's so fair. Thank you.
All right. I told the same thing to St. Mary's of Big Rapids. They know the same story.
I got to get on your calendar first.
No, well, they're already on the calendar. So you'll be second on the calendar.
Thank you.
And Liz, are you planning to use this methodology, or you want to use a different one?
We don't know. I
Okay.
guess this is the only one I'm familiar with. And then again, like Suzanne and I talked this morning. Again, it's just how big it is, but it doesn't mean it won't work. I guess I'm not sure.
Okay. As I said, you don't be intimidated by it. The bigness is just a perception.
Yep. Good.
Do what it needs to be for you. So
Perfect.
And it can be for sure.
Great. Yeah, no, I was just trying to see if I could find all the tools right on the website. So
Yeah, and you can, they're all there, but, you know, it might be helpful I can help you put a process together if you'd like.
That'd be awesome. Thank you.
Okay. Others, we have OLC or anybody else from, St. Mary's Spring Lake, or anybody, you know, have other thoughts or questions for me? You know, how would you like to proceed, or are you interested in me working with you? Not that I'm looking for lots more work, but I better ask now. Anyone? No? Father, let me ask you, you have a parish, but also how does, you have one of the campuses of All Saints,
Yes, we have.
right?
One is called Lower Camp and one is High.
Right, and will you plan together?
I'm not sure.
Okay.
It should be together.
Yes, the school, I would think would be, yeah.
Right. Michael is here, so he.
Okay, yes, I saw Mike here, yes, okay, okay. And is All Saints due for planning?
I'm not sure.
Okay, okay.
Just a news.
You're just new, yes, I'm putting you on the spot, yeah, yeah. Okay, all right, all right. Well, aside from having that map or the strategic planning guide be your Bible, unless you have any other questions, I'm going to move on to the next section of what we want to do during this breakout. Anyone else with any other questions specific to what you've got going in your school? No? Okay. Feel free to reach out to me if you have questions, and I would be happy to talk with you. So let me move on, and I want to say that this next section of our breakout is much more conducive to people who are live here than those of you who are virtual. And what we're going to do is, as Dave said earlier, is we are going to take a look at the draft of tactics for our new Bridging Faith and Future map, and ask you to go through it and give us any thoughts or opinions that you may have on it. And for those of you who are virtual, you are welcome to listen in on this, or you are welcome to have the gift of time. But if you are on boards, we are going to ask the principals and the heads of boards from all the schools to go through this exercise sometime between now and March. So you'll have an opportunity to give your feedback as well. It just isn't a conducive way to do it in a virtual environment. There's just too much paper and too much. I don't know how we would do it virtually. So as I said, you're very welcome to stick with us and listen, or you're welcome to have the gift of time.
Is the draft available to view online?
It is not. It's a sizable document that as I said, once this summit is over, that was Suzanne, right?
Yes, yes.
We're gonna send it out. We've broken it into 4 different documents. All the tactics for the strategies for Catholic culture and mission, for programmatic excellence, for accessibility, and for stewardship. And they each have to be gone through and to give feedback. So we will send it out virtually to principals and to board chairs and ask them to find a way to get feedback from all the boards.
Okay.
The principals have already given us feedback, and that is indicated in these documents.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, all right, so I'm going to ask, can I miss you too? Andrew, can I get you to do this? All right, so, well, got a lot of copies here. All right, so I'm going to ask Brenda to take Catholic Culture and Mission. I'm going to ask
John.
To take programmatic excellence, and I'm going to ask you to take accessibility and investment. So this is a change. Based on feedback from the principals and father, I'm going to ask you to take stewardship and sustainability, not only studying the actions. And you want to take any of which one you want, okay? So here is our draft map, okay? And for those of you who might know how to read it, if you don't, these are the vision metrics. These are quantifiable metrics, okay? And these are the strategies that we are suggesting that are going to help solve for these metrics. And so what you have in your document is you have programmatic excellence. You have this right here. You have these metrics. You have the strategies that go with it. And then you have all the tactics that have been suggested. Right, does that make sense? So the red under feedback is what the principals told us. So let me go through this one since it's right in front of you. So programmatic excellence is number 2. And the first vision metric is every school updates their strategic plan on a regular cycle, typically year after site visit, and measures and reports progress through an annual accreditation process, okay? So that's, yes, they've done that, or no, they haven't done that. That's the metric. So the first strategy is embrace a growth mindset through continuous strategic planning and consistent implementation. And then here's tactics of how to do that. The first one is conduct a biannual board summits to deliver support for continuous planning and best practice sharing and improvement. So that's where we're at right now. We're at this point. We're at this. So one of those principles said, consider the time of the summits or consider continuing the virtual option. So a lot of people who are from Ludington or from Big Rapids, they love the fact that they don't have to come here, in person at night. So the next one is continue to offer a streamlined common strategic planning process across schools which integrates elements of the Virgin Faith and Future Plan, accreditation, and school improvement processes, and facilitates best practice sharing, educates school leaders and boards. So that's what I'm offering to all of you right now is, for your strategic planning processes, would be great to have. Somebody said, we have it, but I'm not sure why I said that. Anyway. So it's like, I want you to read each metric, a strategy, and then the tactics, and do you have a point of view about it? Write down anything you want. I like this, I don't like it, I think it's wrong, I think it's right, I can change it, I find it confusing, whatever you want. I want you to write it in there, and the only thing is you need to write so I can read. Okay? So we're gonna just ask everyone to give a little bit of feedback so that, and you can take anyone you want.
I'll be letting you know me.
I
have a problem giving feedback.
I know, that's why I'm saying this.
You get done a lot more.
Yeah, you sure can. I don't know where the one I had.
You got one?
Yeah, exactly.
Thank you very much.
So for those online, it is kind of a tedious process here. But we're just asking people to kind of knuckle down, do some reading, and give us their thoughts. Jason and Ron since we just talked this last week, I'm wondering if you have any additional questions for me.
Sue, I don't have any additional questions. I did look over the draft, and I was pleased to see some of the real current issues being addressed, or at least set down in the draft.
Oh, good.
And I think it'll be interesting to see how this evolves, especially with the change in our Constitution.
Yes.
That might affect our schools. That'll be a challenge.
Yes, we haven't even had a chance to think about that or address that yet. It's such new information.
This is a dumb question. What does WINGS stand for?
Oh, WINGS is an acronym that I'm not going to remember what the acronym means, but it is a concept for small schools. They call them micro schools.
Mm-hmm.
And Divine Providence Academy in Conklin, and where's the other location? There's two little locations, not Marne, Ravenna. Yeah, Conklin and Ravenna. At two different small parishes, they actually have a school, and they have part of their campus part of their school at one campus and part of the school at another campus, and they're multi-age classrooms, and they have a great thing going there. It's a real little success story. And Jill Annable, who is now the new president at West Catholic, when she was at the National Catholic Education, NCEA, National Catholic Education Association, she wrote a book on micro schools, and they are a great example of it.
So the motivation of that is to be able to have smaller facilities, or take advantage of existing facilities elsewhere. I'm not sure.
Well, the idea of it is that, there's been an attitude that if you don't have 100 or 150 kids, you can't have a successful school. And this is turning that concept on its ear a little bit to say, you can size your school to whatever size it is, and you can make it work with some of these concepts.
Okay, interesting.
So especially in rural areas where, people really don't want to drive more than 30 minutes or so, generally speaking, can they find a way to serve the Catholic population in some of these areas?
Okay. That might even have some relevance to, like, Big Rapids. There's a large area around us without Catholic school facilities for maybe 7th and 8th graders, or maybe in the future high schoolers and that sort of thing.
No, that's interesting. Dave Faber and I have been in conversation with a number of folks around Fremont and and All Saints in Fremont. They have a beautiful facility there for a school that has never been utilized. And so they have, I don't know if I'm using the right word. I don't know if they're a cluster or what, but there's St. Bartholomew, and there's a number of small little kind of mission churches up there. And then there's All Saints. And in fact, he and I are going there on November 20th to meet with any interested families after the 9:00 mass there. And we're really just in an early exploration stage, where there's a lot of homeschool families who, because there's no Catholic options, they have chosen to homeschool. But there's also seems to be a boom of young little kids in the area. And there's some conversation about starting with a Catholic childcare. So, there's stuff happening, but it would probably, if it ended up ultimately to be a school, it would be probably a WINGS model.
Mm-hmm. And if you did the childcare, would that be run through the diocese, or would that have to run through like a public school system, or how would that work?
No, it would run through the parishes there. And I don't know all the details, Ron. There's quite a bit of money available currently for childcare. And so that's a good place to start. And there's a desperate need for childcare, but it would not be driven by the diocese. We're just trying to facilitate a process to see how, if creating a childcare or other kinds of services, a Catholic educational ministry of some sort up there would be possible.
Okay, some interesting ideas.
Yeah, it is. It's exciting.
Well, I'm looking forward to having you come out and starting this process. I think it'd be a real good thing. And I know Jason's looking forward to it, and I should quit talking so he can talk a little bit, but looking forward to it. Thank you.
You're fine, Sue. When you asked the question, Sue, I went to answer and I hung up. I'm in an airport for work and on my phone, and I hit the wrong button. So, yeah, no questions, for me. I think to Rod's point, I'm either tonight or tomorrow. I'll send a note with some proposed dates to meet up as we talked to get started.
Okay, good. Well, I'll look forward to hearing from you.
Thank you again for being willing to help.
Yeah, and thanks for being willing to join while you're traveling.
So Sue, I'm going to hang up then.
Okay,
And I'll look forward to seeing you in the near future.
good. All right, you take care.
Okay,
Yeah, I'll
take
sign
care.
up. I'm gonna sign
Yeah,
up.
be safe,
Thank you.
Jason.
Thanks, Ron.
Bye.
Bye, Sue. Thank you.
Thank you. What's the next?